Welcome to Behind the Cusp, a podcast diving deep into the layers of self-growth, inner work, and transformation. I'm your host, Marissa Mead, and after 15 years as a digital creator, I'm sharing my raw, unfiltered journey of healing and self-discovery to walk alongside you in yours. Together, we'll dive deep into the conversations that matter most, uncovering what it means to truly evolve from the inside out. This is where you elevate into transformation. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Hi, you guys. So I'm sitting here and I just recorded this intro about 15 times. Saying like, hello, hi guys, hey, woo-doo-doo, all these things. And I'm like, I need to come up with an intro because I feel like the first couple episodes I was starting everything off with, hello, we are back with episode, insert the number. And now that I'm like, okay, I can't just say the episode number every time. I'm like, all right, what is a good intro? Because it's not like I guess it's more along the lines of the solo episodes are like that, where I'm more in the, there's not a conversational thing happening with another person, but I guess as guests get on here and all that, it'll be a little different. So in the meantime, it's just hey, how are you? What's going on? Coming at you, whether you are on your walk, your commute, your carpool drop off, your desk job with an AirPod in, whatever it is, wherever you are today. Hey, and I'm so glad you're here. I actually just got home from filming an episode for Christina's podcast over at her and T's little studio space that they have. Christina is one of my dearest, longest friends. I'm sure you guys know her back in the day as Oh So Glam, but Christina Tarabishi now. I think I said that perfectly right, Christina, with like the emphasis and intonation and letters and all that. Anyway, we just filmed a really amazing episode. That's going to be out tomorrow on their podcast, so I'll make sure to share that with you guys on my Instagram and the podcast Instagram. But that was honestly such a great conversation. We literally didn't even look at our notes for what we wanted to talk about one time. We just moved in total flow, and her and T were so great. Christina was really conversational. Obviously, her and I can go back and forth and talk. And then T just came in with some really amazing, good, objective kind of questions where we dug really deep into a lot of different topics about career stuff and friendship and evolving and growth in life and friendship and how that all relates. And I'm really excited to listen back to it. I feel like I was in a vortex kind of for that hour and a half or whatever we were of filming. And I'm excited for you guys to hear it and listen to it because I feel like it's a really great extension of this podcast and more in depth about Christina and I's friendship, our career growth and journey, behind the scenes, a little bit more on all of that for me and what was going on behind the scenes in my life and just the evolution of a career in the digital space. And that just barely touches the surface, I feel like, for the podcast. Anyway, I'll share that with you guys tomorrow. Their podcast is called Pretty in Pink again. And if you don't already know about it, you can go find it and get ready for tomorrow's episode. So I just had such a great weekend. If you know me, you know I am a huge Morgan Wallen fan. Love all of his songs, and my boyfriend and I went to the concert this past weekend. I originally got him tickets for Valentine's Day, and so these were a gift for Valentine's Day, and we were going this weekend, which was also his birthday weekend, so it was like a fun way to celebrate. Had such a good time. There are not many artists that I would pay to see, but Morgan Wallen has so many amazing hits. Like, I feel like his entire album is just hits. And so it's such a good energy. Everyone is there to just have fun. And it was such a good time. It was at Gillette Stadium. There was 70,000 people there. Totally incredible. I don't think there was one empty seat. Truly, the place was slammed. So we had so much fun. And of course, he flew back to Florida this weekend. And the goodbyes never get easier. it's weird because our relationship is kind of long distance, but kind of not. Like, it's long distance when I'm here in Connecticut, but it's not long distance because I also live in Florida, you know? And when I'm here in Connecticut, I'm usually going back quite a bit to see him, spend time with him, be at our house, etc. Or this year, breath of fresh air, he has been coming here more because this year is a little bit different with like his work life. And so he's able to have a little bit more flexibility. And so he's been here twice and is actually coming back this weekend on Sunday with two of our really good friends because we are going to Cape Cod together to kind of close out the summer and have one last little summer trip, if you will. And if you know me, I don't say the F word. The FALL F word is what I'm talking about. Get your minds out of the gutter. I don't say that word until at least September 1st. So it is summer around here. We are embodying that Kylie Jenner audio. I am summering. If you haven't heard it, go find it. Do not interrupt my summer. And for all my New England friends, seriously, you all complain about the cold weather starting in February and March and how it drags and drags till May. So soak up these warm days while you have them because the cold lasts for at least 6 months here. I said what I said. Just embrace it and enjoy it. Your PSL can wait. Anyways, so today we are going to dive in talking about the higher self and what does that even mean? I realized, I think it was last week, I always have these shower download moments where I'm in the shower just thinking about my day, my week, the podcast, whatever. And I have these epiphanies that come to me about what I want to talk about or share about or whatever. And I had a moment, I think it was last week, where I was kind of like, we talk about, or I've talked about higher self, best self, moving in alignment, these things. Maybe you're sitting there and you're kind of like, but how do I do that? Or what does that even mean? And I realized that if you had said that to me several years ago, I probably would have been like, how do I do that? And what is that? And what does higher self even mean? And it kind of sounds like this weird concept of something up in the clouds, you know? And so I thought, let's bring it back down to the basics as we talk about transformation and uncovering the layers of our life and growing and evolving into the best version of us. What does that even really mean? And as you guys know, this podcast is all about self-growth and transformation, etc. And so I want to give you a good foundation to be able to do that. And so that's what today's episode is going to be. And even if, you are in the process or activating that whole higher self alignment, if you will, I think this episode will still be so good to maybe recalibrate or to keep you on track or to just encourage you in that process, because sometimes it's not the easiest thing. Growth doesn't feel easy when we're going through it. And truthfully, we're all, hopefully, always going and growing higher and better and bigger and all these things. So let's dive in. So first off, I want to define higher self or best self. You've most likely heard, obviously, here on this podcast, if this is not the first episode you're listening to, and if it is, hey, I'm so happy you're here. But you've probably heard me talking about being in alignment, creating your best self, your highest self, becoming her, becoming that self, etc. And where do you even start? Let's start with, what does it mean? Like, what is the actual definition of your highest self or your best self? And your highest self is essentially the most aligned, grounded, authentic version of you. And this version of you exists even if you are not living her right now. It's the version of you that acts from a place of self-trust, something we've talked about already in several episodes, love, clarity, and truth, and not fear, ego, expectations, external expectations of other people or things or places, anxiety, anything like that. The higher self is the you that you are becoming. And I did a whole episode on becoming. So if you want to dive into that one or even go re-listen, I actually listened to that episode several times after because I needed that message too. But not coming from a place of pressure, becoming from a place of who you really actually are. And that's what we dove into in that episode. The highest and best version of you is not perfect. And it's also not performative. So when you think of like highest and best self, you might think of this like unattainable version that, again, floating up in the clouds, or is this scale of something that you feel like you won't reach. But being your highest and best self is actually not about being perfect. Being your highest and best self is actually about being deeply authentic. Your highest and best self is you in your truest form, your authentic form. Your highest self is wise, and she's using the wisdom that she has gleaned and gained up until now. Of course, that's something that's always deepening and growing, like I said before. Your highest self is grounded. She's moving from intention and not reactivity. You follow? I think we talked about being like reactive in either the last episode or maybe it was 2 episodes before this. But what that means, and not moving from a place of reactivity, but more response. And when you move from intention and you have direction, then you're not just going to react to all these things happening around you. So ultimately, your higher self, the authentic you, is already in you. It's there. It's who you are. It might be smushed down beneath a ton of layers of years of junk and conditioning and trauma and childhood stuff and relationship stuff and decisions that you are like, oh, that wasn't the best thing or whatever. All of these things layer on top of us and kind of craft us into who we are and can jade or cloud our authentic, true self, our best self. But it's still there. It's still there beneath all the layers. And your authentic, true, best, highest self is not someone that you have to try to become. It's someone that you have to remember. It's someone that you have to dig down deep into knowing. A little side note, we actually talked a little bit about this on the episode that I filmed today with Christina and T about knowing yourself and what that looks like, and how when you know yourself, you then can live in a very authentic way. And not even intentionally am I talking about that here in this episode. So I think when you go and listen to that episode tomorrow, when they put it live, it will be really interesting because you'll have a deeper understanding of what kind of we were talking about in that episode. So now that we have a good foundation of what the highest and best self means, let's identify when we are not living as our highest self and basically out of alignment with our true self, our best self. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're disconnected from our highest self, whether that's because we're so disconnected that we don't even know who our highest self is, or because we have all these outward things around us. And truth be told, our world, our society kind of rewards all of the outward things or coping mechanisms that jade our judgment or jade our direction with our highest self. Things like hustle and perfectionism and these external achievements, or people pleasing, or having no boundaries, or just bending over backwards for everyone and not following what feels right for you. And just because these things are quote unquote normalized or feel familiar or are a pattern that we are in, do not mean that they are good and do not mean that they are aligned for us. They're things that we need to recalibrate and get back on track in. And when you're grounded in who you are, those things become trivial, external things that you don't connect with, and you're not looking for the coping that they bring or the attention or achievement that they bring, because you're grounded in who you are. So I'm going to give you a few examples, or I guess not even examples, more so signs. If you can relate to any of these, then it's time to go inward, dig deep, and align with your highest self again. And these are not things that you're just suddenly going to undo and they're forever undone. They're things that you have to be intentional with. Living your authentic self, your best self, is something that you are going to constantly be intentional in and with. Number one, you're constantly in reaction mode. And this is something that comes from people pleasing, overthinking, fear-based decisions. And it really is this feeling of life is happening to you instead of through you. If you're living in a life where you think all these things are happening around you and they're happening to you and you're out of control, then that is a sign that you are always reacting to what's going on around you based on other people's needs, other people's expectations of you or a situation or whatever, other people's opinions. It's an abandonment of yourself, and you're going outside of that into pleasing other people. You're not responding from your own grounded place of truth. And when I talked about this in a couple episodes ago, it was the opposites of moving from a place of responding versus reacting. When you are grounded in your own place of truth, you just respond to what's going on around you. You don't react. When you're not grounded, you're just going to react. And it's kind of like the image that's coming into my head right now is this concept of like flying off the handle and feeling so thrown, if you will, by anything and everything that's external. Number two, you're over-identifying with roles. I already did a massive episode on roles versus identity. I actually think that this is such a transformational episode. We also reference it in the episode that I filmed with Christina and T today about how identity and roles, the identity versus roles, is something that infiltrates not just how we view ourselves, but also our relationships and friendships and beyond. And over-identifying with a role in your life is actually so destructive, because when you over-identify with the role, you are so disconnected from your true identity of who you are. You become who you think you should be: the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect girlfriend, the perfect coworker, the perfect daughter, friend, influencer, teacher, whatever your role is in life. You become so wrapped up in being this version of what you think you should be that you lose sight of who you actually are outside of all of those titles, and you don't know your own identity. I'm not even going to go into it deeper there because there's a whole episode on that. And if that's something where you're feeling really disconnected and that you're identifying so much with your role right now instead of who you are, I really encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. Number three, you abandon your own intuition. Okay, I feel like this one is so rampant in our world because most people are not even aware of their intuition, let alone connected to it. So it's not even that they're abandoning it, it's that it's always been abandoned. But it is so important to connect to internally your own desires and values and truths and wants, etc. If you are constantly second guessing yourself or going outside of yourself to get, someone else's opinion or thoughts, or should I do this? Should I do that? Or, even apologizing, you guys, like if you have someone over your house and the second they walk in the door and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry that blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'm sorry that there's why are we apologizing? Why are we apologizing? You don't need to second guess who you are. You can be so grounded in who you are that you don't have to apologize for anything. Are you asking everyone else for advice on what you should do for XYZ before even checking in with yourself? Now, there's nothing wrong with asking for advice or opinions or kind of like a second, view on something or an outside view on something. However, this should happen after you've already checked in with yourself and are grounded in how you're feeling. Unless you're going through a period where you're like trying to identify these things and you're working through it maybe with a life coach or a therapist or things like that, that's a totally different context. But every time you make a decision, do you need to go ask 8 people what their thoughts are? Not healthy. Another way that we abandon our own intuition is by overriding our gut feelings, that like little ping, I always call it a ping, that little ping that we get about something. And you guys, I'm going to be kind of candid here and say that I used to feel that I had to pray about every single thing and decision. And in that process, and let me also say, like, I'm not saying don't pray. I'm not saying praying is bad, okay? But what I am saying is I used to literally not even listen to anything that I was already feeling, thinking, kind of being led towards, if you will, and feel like I had to sit there and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray for an answer that was already there, already inside of me. The answer was there. The spirit was already speaking. But because I was so disconnected from myself, I felt like I had to go and find the answer even though it was there. I was disconnected from that inner voice. And I was overriding my gut feeling and spending weeks or months or whatever praying about something, thinking I was going to get a different answer because I didn't think that what I was feeling was the right answer because I was so disconnected. I hope that that is kind of being heard in the right way. But overriding the feeling that you have, we have an inner compass for a reason. We have an intuition. We are given that. That is something that is God-given in us. And when we are constantly abandoning it, we are going to be disconnected from ourselves. Oftentimes, we avoid these things too if we feel that the other side of them is going to bring conflict or disappointment or an issue with somebody else or somebody else is going to be mad or whatever. But it's not really our problem what their, quote, reaction, ding, 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 that word, what their reaction is to our choice or our staying grounded and in our truth is not our problem. And when you understand that and feel that, you can breathe a sigh of relief because you realize, I don't have to worry about all that. Okay, what are we on, 4? You feel disconnected from desire. Okay, this is really interesting because when you're disconnected from desire, it means you don't have your own desires and wants, and it means that you are living for other people or even on autopilot. Are you stuck in a loop that's just looping around and looping around? Do you feel like your life has been the same? You felt the same? You look the same? You haven't grown in any way in the last 2 years? That's autopilot. It's time to change something. It's time to grow. It's time to challenge yourself. It's time to get uncomfortable, to be in a different position. If you're living on autopilot, it's time to step outside of that and connect with the desires that you have and then start moving in line with what those things are. You're also disconnected from desire when you are living life for other people. When was the last time that you sat down and asked yourself what you want or what you want to do, a place you want to go, a thing you want to achieve, a new hobby you want to take up, a language you want to learn? Do you want to go to a pottery class? Do you want to do salsa dancing? 2 things that I want to do, and I did one of them this year. Do you even have something that you want to do? Are you so disconnected that you're like, I have no idea what I want? Let's get connected to our desires. If you are so focused on staying safe in your routine or in your little bubble, staying busy, staying liked by other people, then your own desires are buried so deep, you may not even remember them. And they're underneath this pile of things that you should be doing. I should be showing up for that. I should be going here. I should be doing this. I should be texting her. I should be blah, 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 blah. Like fill in the blank of the a million piles of shoulds. We don't want to live in a world of shoulds. Number 5, you perform instead of express. You chase validation from outside things. Maybe that's achievements or accolades or promotions or followers or numbers or more of this or more of that, or can I push myself to do 5 of this a day instead of a healthy balance of 3 or whatever. Or you perform to feel enough, to prove something, to prove that you have the best this, to prove to them that you're the best at that. All of that is performance. And it is a road to burnout and disconnection. And in the performance, you start editing yourself, your actions, your habits, your words. You become a watered down version of you. You might say what other people think, or you might do what you think that they want. You're performing instead of just expressing yourself. And after all of that, you are disconnected from you because you've spent so much time going outside of yourself and performing for other people and putting on a show, if you will, to prove, to validate something, to hit a level, whatever it might be. And the last one is you experience persistent nagging discontent. It's almost like you can't put your finger on it. Nothing might be wrong per se on the outside. Nothing is inherently horrible about your life or your job or your decisions or anything, but you feel off. You feel tired. You feel blah. You don't feel excited. You don't feel lit up. You're out of sync. You're out of, a rhythm. And it's not even really burnout. It's just misalignment. You can be doing something that is good, that is impacting people, that is, bringing other people growth or success or whatever. And it doesn't mean that what you're doing is bad, but it's misaligned for you. And so you're going to feel this persistent discontentment, and it's going to permeate into every area of your life because you're just going to be like, disgusted with this, that, and the next thing. These are all signs that you are living out of alignment with your higher and best self. Now, all of that to say, when you're living your highest and best self, it doesn't mean that you're not going to face challenges. It doesn't mean that you're not going to face a hard day or discontentment or something ever. Life is still going to get messy. It's still going to have bumps. It's still going to have things that we have to go through and grow through. But the difference is that your relationship, your view of the quote unquote mess is what changes. You're not just wallowing in the whole mess of everything. You're not sitting in all of the junk and just feeling bad for yourself or like on a cycle of a loop of not knowing what to do and how to get out. When you're living from a place of your highest self, you are able to tune into you and not abandon you to make the situation okay or to turn it around, if you will. So on that note, let's talk about what alignment with your higher self actually looks like. We've talked about what the misalignment looks like. Let's move into talking about what the alignment looks like and how you feel when you are living your highest and best self. Being in alignment with your higher and best self is really about tuning in to the frequency or the feeling of who that is. It is grounded, it is calm, it is clear, and it's something that will guide you and be your curriculum, if you will, for your presence, your decisions, both little and big, and your path in life. If you know where you're going, it's really easy, or you know who you're becoming, it's really easy to make a decision that aligns with that. I kind of touched on this in, I think it was the last episode, maybe the one before. All the episodes are starting to mush together because at this point, it's not like I've had 2 or 3. Now we're at 7 or 8 here. And so I can't remember when I've shared what. But in a recent episode, I was talking about how coming back home here to Connecticut has been hard for me because I'm coming back to a life that I feel like I've totally grown out of, and it's not really in alignment with where I want to go. It's not how I want to feel. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. See, this is like a perfect example of being in alignment with your highest and best self. It's not that my home in Connecticut is bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a beautiful home. I'm so glad that it was a container for me in a season of my life. However, it's not aligned with me right now, and so being here doesn't feel right. It's this brewing, nagging discontent, the last point we just talked about. And so in order for me to align with my highest and best self, a change has to be made. Could I keep this house? In theory, absolutely. Could I come here for a month or 2 out of the year and have a little bit of time summer in Connecticut? Sure. But is that really aligned with my highest and best self? Is that how I want to feel when I think about myself in a year and the life that I'm creating and living out? What do I want that to look like and how would I want it to be? And this home is not aligned with that. And so there's a redirection that's necessary to put me on the path to continue in living my highest and best self. So let's break down that whole kind of energetic mindset, the frequency, the feeling that we are aligning with when we are talking about our higher and best self. Number 1, you're going to feel calm and not chaotic. In your heart, in your mind, in your soul, in your physical body, in every aspect, there's going to be calmness, there's going to be peace and not chaos. And it really goes back to your nervous system. I can tell you right now that as soon as I came home in June, within 1 day, my nervous system felt so dysregulated because I was thrust into an environment where I don't feel aligned. And so the last 2 months, my nervous system has been zapping up and down all over the place, if you will, because it feels chaotic for me because I'm out of alignment. I don't feel the calmness and the peace and the just groundedness that I was feeling when I wasn't here. So there's a noticeable shift in your nervous system. And if you know anything about nervous system dysregulation, if your nervous system is dysregulated, everything is dysregulated. But we're not going to talk about the negative aspects. We're going to bring it back to how we feel when we're in line with our higher self, and that is calm. So you're not rushing around, you're not proving anything, you are anchored, you are grounded. Yes, there could be still a million things going on with a life and a schedule and a partner and kids and travel and families and in-laws and 9,000 things. But your inner world, who you are on the inside, feels spacious and it feels like you can breathe, like just a breath of fresh air. It's not cluttered inside. Second, your decisions feel clean. They feel easy. It's really easy to make decisions when you're making decisions from a place of your highest and best self. It's not forced. It's not frantic. It's not ping-ponging around in your brain, if you will. You don't feel like you're going to spin out or burn out in this overthinking loop of what if I do this and what if that and what if that and all these things. It's really easy to make a choice because you're just like, yep, that's what my highest self needs. And I feel like that's where I'm at with the house process. It's easy for me to make the choice in the sense that I know how I want to feel when I come back to Connecticut next summer. I know the life that I want to create or that I am creating. And so it's easy for me to make the choice in alignment with that. If I get out of that and I move into this place of my feelings and oh, my family is here and I feel so connected here and I love sitting in my backyard and I love walking out this door and jumping in my pool at any hour of the day. And I get all into the nostalgic feelings and what this house represents for me and all of those things, then I'm totally disconnected from my highest and best self, because none of that is what my highest and best self wants or needs right now. It's all kind of out there in a different realm, if you will. But when you make a choice from your highest and best self, you are trusting yourself to choose the right, or I don't even like saying the word right, because I feel like right and wrong is such a subjective thing in a lot of cases. But, and I personally don't believe that you can make wrong choices in life. I have chosen to not see any decision as a wrong decision, because there's no mistakes. Mistakes make us who we are, and they give us so many lessons and things that we need in life. But anyway, that's a whole other topic for another time. But reeling it back in, your decisions feel clean. Even when a decision is hard, it feels right. And that's exactly where I'm landing with this kind of looming, I guess, decision of my home. Is even though the decision is hard because I feel so connected to it in all the ways that I just shared, it feels right. And it's the right time. And my life has grown and evolved in a place where it's the right time for that choice. And so maybe there's a choice that you need to make right now and it feels hard, but it feels right. That is your higher and best self calling you to make that choice. And good news, if a choice feels right, but it's hard at the same time, then you are connected to that higher self within. The next thing is, when you are connected to your higher self, you speak with clarity and you trust yourself. Your words are coming from a deeper place. They're not just fluff and, again, reactive type of words. You're not sugarcoating anything. You don't have to change who you are in front of other people or other situations based on what you think that they will accept. When you're grounded in your truest and highest and best self, you speak with clarity. You are saying what you mean what you say, and that creates peace. I think the next point is my favorite one, and it's because this was something that I had to really learn and embody, I would say probably 10 years ago, because I was so disconnected from myself and I was growing up in that environment, and then I was in those environments from an adulthood where I was abandoning everything of how I felt just to please the people around me or do what I thought I should be doing, okay? And so the next point is, you can say, when you are connected with your highest and best self, you can say no without any guilt because you are honoring your boundaries. And when you learn to say no with no guilt, you guys, there is a overwhelming overflow of peace that you will have. Because when you abandon yourself to keep what you think is peace with another person or place or team or organization or friend group or family or whatever, you're creating chaos within. Your time, your energy, your emotions, your presence, your physical presence, those things are all sacred. They are not things that you can get back, and those things are not for other people to drain. Protecting those things, protecting your time, your energy, your presence, everything, protecting that, having boundaries, does not make you a selfish person. It does not make you someone who isn't available. It doesn't make you a bad friend. It doesn't make you anything negative. It actually makes you sovereign. And when you can stay grounded in your truth, you can honor your own boundaries, you can say no without guilt, you're actually showing people that what you do and say line up, and they're able to see someone who's not abandoning constantly who they are for other things. And the last, you are not chasing, you are attracting. I feel like this was maybe like a recent trending audio or something, like I don't chase, I attract, or something to that effect. I don't know, a year or so ago. And honestly, I don't even know if the whole concept of not chasing but attracting is fully understood. And I say that as somebody who didn't really fully understand it for a long time. But when you are chasing things, it's not like physically running around chasing. It's actually more in a form of control. You are trying to control everything around you, people, schedules, places, things, your kids, what they do, what they don't do, like there could be your job, your coworker. When you have this element of trying to control everything around, have the grip so tight that nothing else there's no room for anything else because you're holding it so tight. It's this loop of control and control and more control and more control, and it doesn't do anyone good, and it's also exhausting. When you are trying to control everything, it's so exhausting because you're trying to manage so much. When you are relinquishing that control, you're relinquishing that chase, if you will, you move into a place of attracting. You allow things to come to you. You allow things to flow inward to you. Because you are magnetic. We are magnetic beings. People are drawn to another person for a reason. We are drawn to certain places for a reason. People, places, things, foods, we're all drawn to something. Their magnetism exists from a scientific law standpoint. It's not just a bunch of weird hoopla, It is something that truly we are magnetic beings. And when you are moving from a place that is aligned with your higher self and with your values and who you are, and you know what those things are, you allow space for different opportunities, different people, different experiences, different travel opportunities, maybe a new job, new friends, new this, anything to flow into you. And when you allow for new things to flow in, you are giving space for newness to be created. And that's where you can start living your highest and best self. Again, I'm going to relate it back to this example with my home. I could hold on tight to this home because of what it represents and the emotional aspect and all these things that I do feel connected to with it, and control that aspect of my life and be like, no, I'm going to hold on to this. But it's not going to allow the space for something new to come in. And my highest self, my best self, the self that I'm dreaming and envisioning and wanting to create, has all of these amazing, huge ideas that seem larger than life, but are also so possible out there. And part of that process includes me letting go of this home to create the space for something else to flow in. And when you stop chasing and controlling and performing even, you allow the space for something to attract to the magnet that you are. So to wrap up how we feel when we are our highest and best self, alignment isn't always something that's loud. It may not be something that is very apparent or seen, but it is a deep inner peace. And when you have a deep inner peace, that's when you know that your highest self is present. Even in the midst of a really tough decision, if you feel that one decision brings you a element of peace that you don't have at the present moment without that decision or with not deciding that thing, that's how you know that that's an alignment for your higher self. It's not about being perfect. Being your highest self is not about being perfect and being the best and being this perfect, routined, working out, healthy eating, scheduled, perfect children, perfect marriage, home, everything's clean, you have the coolest job, you travel all the time. None of that is actually your higher self. Let's break that whole mindset down. It's not about the perfection. It's about being honest and being rooted and grounded in you. And sometimes that means making the hard decisions because they're the right ones. making the hard decisions and making the movement into that place. The how to, where do we start? Okay, this is where we start. Number one, we have to create space. We have to create space to actually hear about those desires and those feelings and like the direction that we want to be heading in. And what does creating space mean? It means we are getting quiet. We are getting still. We are putting down our phone. We are turning off literal music. Sit in silence, drive in silence, allow yourself to be immersed in your thoughts. You guys, when I'm driving, a lot of times I love listening to podcasts and I love music, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times that is my time and space to reflect and think because you can't do anything else. You can't be occupied scrolling on your phone or whatever. Like when you're driving, you have to be focused on the road, and that is my time to tune in and think and reflect and get space to hear and feel these things that are coming up. If you're wondering, how do I even hear those things that are feeling and coming up? Ask yourself, what do I need right now? What am I pushing away? What am I pretending to not know or hear? What am I running from? There comes a point where you can be away so much that you're actually running from yourself and what you have to face when you're in your own home or alone in your own home if you're single. If you are always leaving, what does that mean? And so it doesn't have to necessarily be travel. You could fill in the blank. Are you always having to go do something when you feel a certain way? Like, what are you trying to escape? What is like replacing that, I guess? Replacing you facing the space. Why does the space make you uncomfortable? That's kind of what I'm getting at here with what are you moving away from in the space that's created in stillness and silence. You need the space to be able to tune in. Number 2, the second way that we can begin aligning with our higher self is to audit our daily choices. And I'm not talking about, what time I wake up in the morning or should I go to the coffee shop or not, but I'm talking more about like your daily choices. Are you making choices from a place of fear or a place of love? Even let's take our relationships, like with our significant other or our spouse or our boyfriend or whatever. Are you making choices in your relationship from a place of fear or a place of love? Are you moving in love with this person? And love ultimately comes from a place of trust. Fear is created in a place of distrust. So as women too, we want to know that things are being taken care of. They're going to be handled. Maybe we want our husband to do that or our boyfriend to do that right now. I don't know what it is about men. I was watching a reel that my friend Lauren put up on or actually maybe it was a TikTok or something. And I know Lauren's probably listening to this episode on her walk or something, but it was like my husband when I tell him I'm going to do it myself, and it's like him running into the bathroom to do the task or whatever. And I was just laughing at that. But anyway, not to put any men or husbands down because they're all amazing and do incredible things. But I think, again, we as women, like we want to know something is going to be handled. And so I think sometimes that element of pause or a man handling it in his own time can come from a place of fear that he's not going to do it. And I say that from a place of experiencing this myself and learning to, okay, he said he's going to handle it. Deep breath. It's going to get done. Of course, that doesn't mean that we don't have to remind or ask or whatever within reason, but are we moving in a place of fear or love when it comes to our relationships? I don't know why that just came up for me, but maybe it was even a good reminder for me for different ways that I interact in my relationships and even friendships. But another good question for auditing your choices is, are you honoring your energy or are you overextending? Are you saying yes to too many things? Are you committed to too many things? Do you have way too many things outside of a work and normal wellness routine or schedule or whatever? Are your kids committed to too many things? Are there way too many classes and practices and games and this and that and whatever, where you're just so overextended that you are exhausted at the end of every day and you have nothing left to give, you have no energy, you have nothing? Then you may need to reevaluate and audit your choices for your home, for your family, for your relationship, whatever it might be. I think another one here with your daily choices is to also write down a list of certain things that are really important to you that are your priority. So if you work, obviously that is just like in that bucket of priority by default. But what else is important to you? Is your workout time or your journaling time or making homemade meals or getting outside or spending time with a friend? What are the important things to you? Pillar those out and then put them into your calendar or wherever you have a schedule, whether you're single or managing a family. Like, those things might look different as far as what your pillars are, but that is a really easy way to then honor your time and energy from a individual standpoint, from a familial standpoint or whatever, to know, does this thing that we are possibly going to commit to honor our energy and where we want things to go and the direction that we're all heading in this home, or is it overextending us? And to that point, do you need to say no more? Do you need to say no to all the things that are pulling you in 100 ways? Because you cannot stay grounded in who you are and become your best self if you are so depleted and spread thin. So, a few tips to audit your daily choices to create the life that you want. Okay, number 3. You guys, I love this one. And this is something that I have really embodied and started to do the last couple years. Visualize and connect with your highest self. Okay, I want to do this quick little exercise right now. Close your eyes. And I want you to picture yourself somewhere in your happiest, most vibrant place. Where do you feel the most peace, the most alive? You have the biggest smile on your face. Your hair might be blowing in the wind. You're wearing your favorite dress. Maybe you're barefoot on the beach or running through a field or hiking up a mountain in your favorite workout set or brand or whatever. I want you to visualize a moment where you are just embodying all of the best emotions and feelings in that moment. Take a second and just visualize yourself there. Think about what you're wearing. You probably have no cares in the world. Now you have that image and that feeling of you. Let me give you a little insight. That is your highest self. How you feel in that exact moment, in that exact place. The beauty, the glow on you, the lightness that your body feels. That is your highest self. Now, can you even feel that in your body now as you are thinking about it? Open your eyes back up. You're coming back down into earth. Reground here. You just visualized and connected with your higher self. You can feel that way all the time. You can walk in that feeling every day. It is your choice to do that. And choosing the things that align with that person and how they feel and the life they created is up to you today. So the visualization is kind of the exercise. Now we need to connect. How are we doing that? To connect to that every day. I personally love daily scripting or journaling. Some people write out how they want to feel in the form of affirmations. And this is something that I have really started to do in the last couple of years. But just saying things like, I am strong, I am healthy, I am growing, I am beautiful, or after a workout, good job, Maris, or wow, like you did an amazing job. Like looking in the mirror and physically saying those things to myself. I want to challenge you guys today to go in the mirror and say 5 nice things about yourself to yourself. And it sounds like, oh, that won't be that hard. But when you look at yourself in the mirror and you are looking at the physical body of you, the one that we are all so quick to be critical to, you will stand there and probably start crying and welling up with tears because you realize, how often do we just tear ourselves down? How often do we not live and embody that future, that best and highest self, but we live from this place of, oh, I'm so ugly. I feel gross today. I feel fat. I'm bloated. My face, if only I looked like her. Only if I like fill in the blank. We're so negative and so destructive to ourselves. And that self narrative that's inside, that speaking, that script that's running in our brain, we have to break that. We have to break that and how we view ourselves. So break it today. Go in the mirror, say 5 nice things, and then daily write something out. For a while, I had a little note or sticky note or card or whatever taped to my bathroom mirror with just one small thing like, I am blank. Write a word or whatever. And when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you're going to see. You're not going to have the space to be like, I'm so blank today. It's going to be, I am beautiful. I am healthy. I am vibrant. I am creative. I am magnetic. And when you do that, you will reframe your thoughts. You will believe those things about you that are already there. They're already true. They're just buried beneath all the layers of the muck that we have put on top. So I encourage you to do that today and do that in the future days. But then also you can do something that's a little bit deeper once you've adopted that whole thing and exercise, if you will, to visualize and connect with your future self. You can do future self journaling, which is about imagining what that feels like. So you can do that same exercise that I started this out with, of visualizing where you are, how you feel, what you're doing, where, who's around you, all these things. And do that future self exercise. Think about what you're wearing. What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? Where are you living? How does your house feel? How does your relationship feel? What are your friends doing around you? What kind of friends do you have? Visualize all of that, because you need to visualize it in order to know what you're creating and what you are walking towards. This isn't a shot in the dark. We need to visualize our highest and best self and how we feel. And then the last thing is you act as her now. You act as your highest self because you already are. You need to speak like her. You show up like her. You eat like her. You move like her. You rest like her. You are your highest and best self. You are. You already are. We've already established that. It is deep down in who you are. And just because it's under all the layers doesn't mean that she's not there, that she can't show up today for you. And so when you do that, you create a container for your highest self to be in. It is going to attract and flow into you. And it really goes down into the micro little movements, the little things that contribute to your best self. It's not that you just one day wake up and suddenly are this different person. It is in all the tiny little things that you're doing every single day that are going to compound into creating you. And so you have to wake up and decide that I am going to start embodying my highest and best self today. And don't overwhelm yourself and try to do everything in one day, because Rome wasn't built in a day. The tortoise won the race going slower. It's not about doing this the fastest or the best. Again, we're not moving in performance and perfection and all of that. It is about making small micro choices. So today, make a lunch that is actually nourishing, that you're not going to feel like a blob and a piece of crap on the couch after you eat. Don't go and get the crappy drive-through, whatever. Actually nourish your body in a way that if your highest self is sitting there right now, what is she choosing to eat? Do that. You have to Also, like moving in the highest and best self, sometimes it's uncomfortable. We're not moving in this place of wallowing in feelings. We're moving in a place that is creating the life that we want. Your highest self, the identity of who you are, is built in the day to day. Again, it is not something that you just one day wake up and suddenly are. It's built in the day-to-day micro moments and choices that you carve out and create. And so, in closing, a few thoughts. Your highest and best self isn't waiting for you in some distant version of your life in 5 years down the road, or in 10 years when you feel like you have quote unquote made it. Your highest self is already within you. She's underneath all of the noise, the pressure, the fear, the performance, the perfectionism, the stuff. Becoming your highest self isn't about striving harder. It's about softening into who you already are. It's about digging deep into the you that is beneath the layers. It's tuning in, it's becoming still to hear her. You don't have to go and do a complete overhaul of your life to start. You just need to make small, micro, different choices gently, gracefully, and intentionally today. Your higher self is made through one aligned decision, one no, one honest thought, one act of self-trust and self-worth at a time. And so as you move forward in creating and aligning with your higher self, ask yourself, what would she do? And then honor that answer, even in the smallest way, in the little yeses, in the big no's. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you've always been, underneath the noise and down below beneath the surface. All you have to do is listen, trust, and begin showing up in the smallest of ways. And so today, choose to come home. Choose your best self. I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Behind the Cusp. If you love this episode, I'd so appreciate it if you'd rate, review, or share it with someone else who's also on their path of self-growth. These all go such a long way in supporting the show. Be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me over on Instagram @StyleCusp and follow the show Behind the Cusp. And as always, keep tuning inward. True transformation begins from the inside out.